Solo quiero invitarlos a suscribirse al canal de YouTube y que dejen un comentario o sugerencia de algún tema que quieran que tratemos aquí en Arquitectura Desnuda de Progressive Design Firm.
Hello everybody, it's been a wonderful hour with Louise. I feel totally blessed and I've really enjoyed this podcast. It actually felt like 20 minutes, but it's actually been 1 hour. So I look forward to seeing with you with Louise soon. Take care, bye.
Welcome to the Progressive Design Firm podcast.
Bienvenidos a otro episodio de Arquitectura Desnuda de Progressive Design Firm. El día de hoy tengo que grabar el día de hoy tengo que grabar en inglés porque tengo un invitado muy especial. Today we have like a very, very special guest, and you know, this podcast is about getting into the lives and accomplishment of extraordinary people. And I just couldn't think about somebody more extraordinary than you are in the world of hospitality and in the business of hospitality. With your amazing experience, how visionary hotelier you are. And I'm saying this like without trying to make you, you know, without flattering you. I'm just saying, stating some facts. And you were recently regional managing director for Viceroy. You have been managing director for One and Only Palmilla in Los Cabos. You have been in Capella, Pedregal. Waldorf Astoria at Beverly Hills, and so many other amazing properties around the world. So these team properties have won awards from Condé Nast, TripAdvisor, and you name it, front pages in magazines. Your style and your passion has redefined the hotelier culture. And I'm just like so flattered to have you here, Peter Bolling.
Thank you so much, and what a pleasure. I walked into your office 5 minutes ago, and already I feel at home. So thank you for making me feel at home.
No, for sure, you are at home. But really the expert of making people feel at home is you.
It's all on the people, isn't it? Life's the journey. The floors and the walls and the buildings are wonderful, they're beautiful. But as running a hotel, it's really about the people that create the warmth and the service and the moment in time. And very often I've been into a hotel that's been a world-class, beautiful place, and you can go back 5 years later or 10 years later and the magic has gone.
You know, actually that was one of my points that I was going to touch, because I have been in one of the hotels you were managing director, and you can really feel the before and after your stay there and the time that you were there. Sadly, without you, the decay came very, very fast, you know. And so this makes me wonder how essential is not only the person, but the warm people touch to the entire team in the hotel, just to make it, you know, at that standard, at that level.
I think when you do a new opening, of course, I don't think I know, when you do a new opening, as I did with Capella, we interviewed 450 people, and we started with 145 people. And actually, probably 50% of those original people are still at the hotel.
No way.
And I actually sent Fernando this morning a congratulatory message to him and his entire team, because he managed to carry on the magic. And I know we put together the correct initial team, but everybody needs to be nurtured, everybody needs to be respected, everybody needs to be valued. And when you have that in a hotel, you can sense it the second you arrive. And so every hotel that I've managed here, wherever possible, when I'm on property and when I'm in the location, I've personally interviewed every single person. Not for their technical skills. You know, I trust my people, I trust my managers. I'm not the chef, I'm not the financial controller. But I interview the people just so I can look at them in the face and look at them in the eye and just feel that they have the requirements of what is required first of all, to come into the team and add something to the team, and also the team to respect them when they come into the team. So for me, it's
both sides.
Yeah. Anybody can want to come into a hotel when it's doing well, and we want to be in the in place, and that's all wonderful. When you're adding to the team, you're adding to the circle, and so the circle is getting bigger, and the ball has to bounce. And if you don't take that seriously on the interview process, and you don't nurture that, you will not have a world-class result.
So you're telling me that part of what, you start telling me that what people is what makes a world-star resort, right? But actually the role of the managing director within the hotel and that sensibility that it has with the people, with the team, has like something very, very special to add. What would make like a great managing director? What skills?
Anybody can run a hotel when it's plain sailing. When there's a storm or when there's a situation you have to deal with and you have to bring the boat back into a stable way, you have to do it in a very positive way. You have to have people support you. You can't force that. You have people that join you. You're really there with them as a family. You're there working 5-6 days a week with everyone. So I always say that each department is really a village. Every restaurant, every section of the hotel is a village. And you need to make sure that you have the leaders, the mayor of the village, communicating clearly with their villagers, with their team. Being the managing director at night, when all the villages come together and there's very clear lines of communication 24 hours a day, that as the managing director of the resort or hotel, the villages create the town. And then I can put my head on the pillow with peace of mind, knowing that all the transactions during the day and all the communication, that there's so many thousands of transactions in a hotel, that we can all go to bed with peace of mind, knowing that the night manager at 11 o'clock has connected with the evening duty manager and there's been a handover. And then in the morning at 7 o'clock, there's a handover again, and there's a handover at 3 o'clock. And it's that continual communication of really understanding what's going on and dealing with the problem immediately. So you don't let problems build up, and you deal with them in a very positive way. A guest doesn't come to a hotel to complain. They've chosen...
Exactly. No, right. Completely right. Yeah.
Right, so they've chosen that hotel. They've left home early in the morning. They have busy lives. There's responsibility. They're paying to come here. They all of a sudden arrive and there's a problem, or someone doesn't care. And I always say, if there is a problem, then take it seriously. I was actually called very little at Viceroy and at One and Only to deal with serious problems.
Okay.
Because the staff were trained to deal with it, but they always knew that if there was a situation that they need to call me, I would be there within 5 minutes and I would deal with it straight away. And I always say to the guests, look, we know there's a problem. How do we deal with it? How do we turn it around? It's your special time. We don't want this to happen. The time is so valuable to you. And sit down and agree and really understand, and then deal with it in a positive way, and then follow through during the stay. And very often when that's happened in the Caribbean, in America, any hotel that I've managed, those clients normally become a repeat guest.
Oh, wow. So just by hearing you, I can sense how much wisdom and how extensive your resume is, actually. You have said some key words to me that you said, I'm not a chef, but you are an expert in every single area. After looking at your resume, I know you know about the food, the accommodations, the design, the opening of a new property. So I want to jump into the architectural work in here, because you have designed exceptionally luxury properties around the world, and you have been close to the owners, close to the interior designers, close to the architects when they are designing these amazing world-class hotels, which in a way they are home away from home. So I would love to hear how the process starts to do. For me, it's very clear that first, this is an investment properties, even though sometimes are motivated by passion or whatever. How the process starts with the owners, with the selection of the architect, with the construction, you have been involved in all of this. So please tell me.
You're reminding me, by the way, how blessed I have been in my career, and I'm saying that in a very positive way. I'm not sure that would be allowed to happen anymore. The hotels are owned by big corporations now, big investment companies, asset management teams, and that's wonderful. And I've worked for Rosewood, Capella, Waldorf, many of the companies. But if I turn the clock back to my first true quality hotel, I was in my early 20s, and I took a demotion, actually. I chose to take a demotion, and my parents were so shocked, and they said, why are you leaving this position to go for a lower position?
I see.
And I'd seen this ad in this caterer and hotel keeper magazine, and it was a beautiful drawing of a Queen Anne manor house in Winchester in England.
Okay.
And it was on 200 acres of beautiful parkland, and I looked at this little drawing and I thought, that is the hotel for me. And I drove 300 miles away, and I drove the car to the front door, and I stood there and I thought, this is the quality of hotel that I'm going to be involved with for the rest of my life. I didn't know I was going to leave 6 years later and go and live on a private island in the Caribbean. That wasn't part of the... that wasn't part of the...
You didn't know that back then.
That wasn't part of the agenda. But the place gave me joy. The silver tray, the attention to detail, the linen coasters, the beautiful cocktail bar, the attention to detail. All those things were so beautifully, impeccably done that I was fortunate to then be given promotion and go to another country house hotel in Kent called Eastwell Manor. Mm-hmm. And this was on 3,000 acres of beautiful land also. And we used to do the pheasant shoots and partridge shoots.
I was going to ask you about that.
for the Rothschild family and some wonderful European families and everything. And yet again, that quality of hotel was probably one of the best country houses in England. And because we were so near to France, we used to have French sommeliers and French waiters, and it was a beautiful place. The story then, of course, was clients would come and meet me and talk to me. So I got to know a lot of people, and never thinking I was going to leave the UK. And a couple came in for lunch often, and his name was Martin Miller, and her name was Judith Miller. And they sat with me one day and said, Peter, would you consider coming to be the opening hotel manager for our beautiful house that we've just bought? And it's 12 bedrooms, and we're going to turn it into 44 bedrooms. Okay. And this hotel was Chilston Park. And if people want to Google Chilston Park, it's still open. Maybe it doesn't have the attention to detail that it had when Martin Miller had it, but it's still a beautiful place. And we built the 44 rooms. I was involved with him from every aspect, from the design aspect to everything. And we opened with 12 rooms, and 2 years later, we won the boutique hotel in England in 1986.
That's something that comes with you, awards and magazines and media.
Yeah, and he had a big antiques volume collection called Miller's Antiques Guidebook, and you may not have heard of it, but they're still actually for sale. And it's Miller's Antiques, and he valued all the antiques and different collectibles in the world, and he had a big volume every year that came out, Miller's Antiques. Anyway, that was a wonderful experience, and I was 24 years old when he gave me the opportunity.
Wow.
Yeah, and through that, I had a phone call one rainy evening at Chilston Park from a gentleman whose name was Jack Schneider. And Jack Schneider owned the top, in those days...
I know where you're going.
recruitment company in London, in Hampstead. And Jack had come as a lunch guest at East Manor. So you never know who you're going to meet. So life's journey evolves, but it's the people you meet along the way.
That takes you to the next.
Takes you to the next one. And some people want everything immediately, but then the whole point of the journey is to have fun along the way and meet the characters, meet the people, appreciate what you've got, give all your everything you have to take you to that next stage of the journey. So the phone call changed my life, and it was what I consider going for an interview on Monday morning to Brown's Hotel in London, to go to Jumbie Bay, a 300-acre private island off the coast of Antigua.
Wow.
Yeah, and I did go, and the rest is history, because I never went back to the UK from then to work. So my last pay slip in England was July the 14th, 1986.
No way.
Yeah, but it all stems from accepting the job at Langston House, going through the journey, going to East Manor, meeting the right people, working in the level of property that I wanted to work with, not to have a career that was up and down and up and down and what do you really want? No, I knew exactly what I wanted, because I get quality out of the attention to detail, and I get quality out of people enjoying themselves, but in a wonderful environment that has to be created.
Just by listening to you, I can see how much, and I'm saying this in the best possible way, how much you value tradition. About when you're talking about all of these, let's say, traditional old houses, these names, the passions behind them. But at the same time, I see you in your very, very recent role advisor, right? And which is like a very contemporary, very, very clean and sleek architecture and design. And I see a man that has these two parts in his heart, like the capacity, the possibility of working with tradition within a modern environment. How you combine that?
I actually love modern art now, so which I never used to, but I love modern art, and I think there's a time and a place for everything, and you can't cookie cutter something and take something from A to B and be the exact same. It's impossible. So what I do is everywhere that I manage has a different DNA, there's a different style, there's a different ambience that you create. So the ambience that we created at Capella, which is still maintained, and they may have enhanced or changed a few things, but the DNA of the place is really set because of the architecture and the lay of the land with El Farallon.
Exactly. And exactly, for those people that don't know Capella or Pedregal, it's basically a hill with a bunch of rocks, really. Little beach in front of it, but it's a beautiful, almost hidden property in the very, very tip of the Baja Peninsula.
Right, and it's magic, and that shouldn't be changed. But to copy that somewhere else would be really nearly impossible. When I went to one and only Palmyra in those days was a little bit tired actually, and I was given an open hand with Alan Liebman, who was the president of the company. And he said to me, Peter, can you just write a few things down and then we'll decide what we can do, and we want you to go ahead and move ahead with it. And I said, yes. So I spent 4 or 5 days and I gave him a list of 345 things. And I said, which can I start first? He said, Peter, I don't mind. I'm trusting you. Get on with it. That for me was joy. That wouldn't happen in this day and age, and I understand the world has changed somewhat.
It has.
It's changed. And that moment for me, I thought, wow, I'm the MD of one and only. Ed Steiner was an amazing gentleman. He called me actually, and he wanted me to take his job, which was an amazing phone call. But I was allowed to do those things and work with the architects and work with the designers and do some things on my own, and just do it with the team. I remember the small pools actually that are in Palmyra now, on the ground floor. I remember going around with my guys with a yellow marker with a spray tin, and spraying around the trees and spraying around the grounds and putting in the pool and doing that with the pools, and they said yes. I sent the information to Dubai and I said, do you like the shape of these pools? He said yes, perfect, just do it. So anyway, so that's magic. Then, of course, I went from there to the Waldorf in Beverly Hills.
So, for example, I'm just before jumping to the Waldorf. So, how's the process? I mean, for those who are listening, well, you run the hotel. I mean, the hotel is operational, and then you come to these big renovations. How you manage that? Because it puts a lot of stress within the property that is not pleasant for most of the guests. Do you shut down the hotel for a year, or what do you do?
Many of the projects we've done, we haven't closed the hotel. I mean, we've closed the hotel for certain things. I mean, the hurricane, of course, we spent $84 million in Palmyra, so we closed for 6 months.
Nice.
But smaller projects, normally a hotel will not close. You block off areas. You also pre-warn sometimes the travel community, and you move forward. You've got to pull everybody in, and it's a chapter. Each department is a chapter, so you need to go in and look. How can we improve this? Should there be a plant here? Should there be an orchid here? Should there be a chess set here? A book here? Is the lighting the right? Is it the right light? Is it too bright?
Is the right temperature?
Is it the right temperature? Is the music too loud? Is the music the wrong vibe for the time of the day?
Yeah.
And it goes on and it goes on and it goes on. You can say those things, and I always say you can take a horse to water, you can't make it drink, okay? So if someone brings in an idea and they just say, do it, and it's just going to be there, the orchid will die and the orchid will not be replaced. The book will be opened and the cover will be torn within 3 months. And all these things that I just mentioned to you will not happen. You have to go in and keep doing it, and explaining why you're doing it, and showing the way.
That was actually my next question. I mean, seems like a managing director, I mean, at least in your case, is always trying to improve the experience of the guests and the people around him.
Yes.
However, is there an expense limit that the owners of the hotel, of the company, they put in you, or you have always a blank canvas to work with?
A lot of those things I just mentioned really don't cost a lot of money. The main hotel, the design, the furniture, the how you do it, the FF&E initially, but the tweaky things, the attention to detail, the magic things that create the mood of each period of the day, really are not the things that cost the money. But it's having the team put them out at the right time, and light the candle at the right time, and blow the candle out at the right time, and take care of things and move them away and bring them out again. And what I've found is the people that I've had the pleasure to work with, they get so much fun out of it, because that gives them a sense of pride and a sense of place. And so everything starts to have a meaning. And then you watch these teams create the magic. And so you sit back and you see the bartenders, and they're proud being in the bar and making these amazing drinks and talking to the guests, and they've got a pride. And if you have a team that half have got the pride and half haven't, it's never going to work, because A-list people and people with a certain energy and a passion and a drive to want to be better want to work with similar-minded people.
I completely agree. I mean, you are just teaching us like a book here, you know. In this sense, I mean, I was talking about tradition and modernity. So it also comes to my mind how you teach the team to carry on, you know, because me being an architect and an interior designer, I mean, when I finish I do my project and I finish my project and I always deliver to my client, everything is perfect, right? The cushions are in the right place, the AC is at the right temperature, the lighting, and it seems like it doesn't matter if I automate everything with Lutron or whatever, and I can set up the lights, the music, and everything, but when I go back a year later, sometimes some clients, they do live like I wish they still live, but some other have lost their way, you know, and they have had some stuff that might be precious for them, but probably they are in the wrong place, or I mean, they don't take care, you know. So how you manage to when you are not in the property, your absence is not felt, you know.
Yeah, I mean the team that you put together, you have to rely on. When I go away, often I've had to go back and I go in, and if I see something an inch off or a zip on a cushion that's the wrong way, or those things you just mentioned, I can feel it, so I can look around, see it. And
whose fault is it?
No, and it's not fault, because people then start to do it. They do it, and you see the improvement continually. You don't overcomplicate. I think many hotels want to overcomplicate, and I think you stand back in a guest room, you look at a room, and then people come into that room with their luggage and their personal belongings for a short period of time. And so I've gone from country house hotels in the UK, which were sometimes a little bit overcomplicated in that period of the design and everything, to now being at the Viceroy, which was very minimalistic and very uncluttered, and just adding a little cactus pot on the balcony and a little book and a throw on the bed, just little details, but leaving it really clean works for that hotel. So there's different moods for different hotels and different times of the day and all these things, but there has to be the attention to detail. And when you walk into a hotel that you know has got tender, loving care, you can feel it. And you can see the pride in the staff also. So I've had amazing staff my whole 14, 15 years of being in this destination. And I've been really proud of all of these people, because when I go out shopping now, or I'm walking around somewhere, and they'll say, "Hi, Mr. B, how are you doing?" And I'll say, "Hi, I'm Wolfich." This happens all the time, by the way.
I bet.
Right, and what I've seen in this destination, because everybody works so hard, and the competition is so high, that I've seen these people, 15 years ago when they were 20 and now they're 35 years old, or there's many people that I've seen that I've tried to guide and mentor along the way and see them do really well. And now several have their own companies, they're managing private homes, as their own business. Mm-hmm. Many of them have had promotions, internal promotions and everything. And this community has created a wonderful environment for young people to really do well.
In creating these unforgettable guest experiences, you said the big things are actually the opening of a property is really what it takes most of the investment. And the little things sometimes you nurture with care, they are not so expensive. But what are these experiences that you design for the guests, or you have designed for the guests, where you can see possibilities for make their stay, like I said, completely unforgettable?
Right. A lot of the simple things. For instance, if you have an NFL player staying with you, so you know the team, so we can have the pastry chef create a special ball or a special plate with the logo of the team. That's a simple thing. Doing wonderful handwritten cards, but following through with an amenity that means something. I went to a hotel in California about 4 years ago, and the room wasn't ready, and they gave me a bottle, my wife and I with two friends, a bottle of rosé wine. But instead of giving me the rosé wine in the room where I'd gone later and the ice would have maybe have melted, or I just wasn't in the mood for the rosé wine, they said, "May we serve you a bottle of rosé wine now?" We really enjoyed it, so much so that we had lunch on the terrace. We had another bottle of rosé wine, and the stay started in a really wonderful way. All I'm saying is that it doesn't matter how small it is, it has to be served at the right time with care.
Timing.
Because why would you serve somebody a chocolate-covered strawberry if they don't like chocolate and they've just had a 6-course dinner in the restaurant and they've had dessert, and all that's going to happen is the strawberry's going to melt and it's not worth it. So, and choose it at the right day of the week, because if it's your first day, you're tired. So why would you choose a romantic turn down if you've just, flown and traveled
so many miles,
an early dinner? So if you're going to do a romantic turn down, maybe do it on the third night out of a 5-night stay. because you're then relaxed, you're in the mood, you can really enjoy the moment and appreciate it and think, we've still got 2 days left, or no, we're not leaving tomorrow morning. So it's just having a team of concierge with you, personal assistants. In One and Only, I had 45 full-time bottlers.
Wow.
And they were amazing. And I can really honestly say, no other hotel could ever have a higher level of bottlers than that period of my life at the One and Only.
Wow.
I was fortunate that 4 of them are now work at Viceroy, and they made such a difference because they connect with the guests, they connect with the children on arrival, they introduce them to the children's club, they give them a little woven toy, they create the magic. They can only create the magic as a bottler if they've got everybody working with them. So this is why the teams in the village need to respect the bottlers, because the bottlers are the icing on the cake. This is how we can rent the villas for, $5,000, $8,000, $10,000, at the festive $20,000 a night. It's because the bottlers have the peace of mind in any of these world-class destinations in this destination, knowing that they're being given the professionalism required so that they can get back to the guests straight away with confidence and follow through.
Exactly.
Because anybody can write down, this is how you run a world-class hotel, and this is how you do it, and it's all very easy. It's all.
Yes.
But if the bottler's there, and all of a sudden everybody's ignoring the bottler, and the amenity doesn't happen, and these things don't happen, then it will be a different place totally. So everybody has to be in harmony.
I see. So basically, when you go to another resort, for example, when you went to LA, we were just getting into that. Can you explain me how was the process? Who approached you? Why did it approach you? And why did you take that responsibility? Because you were perfectly fine in Cabo.
I'd always wanted to go and live in Beverly Hills. And it was a dream of mine from being 18 years old. I have no idea why, because in those days I never thought I was going to leave the UK.
I see.
But on my wish list of things to do, it was to run a hotel in Beverly Hills. I was fortunate enough to meet the owner, who stayed with us many times at Pommier, One and Only. I met him and his family. They're a wonderful family. And they gave me the opportunity to go and be the managing director for that hotel. In that hotel, we received the 5-star Forbes for the spa and the hotel in the first year, which was wonderful. Wow. And I met some amazing people, and it was a different experience. But I love resorts, and I'm a resort person. And after 21 years in the Caribbean and 14 years in the Baja. Running a city hotel is different, and when you're used to that lifestyle, it was a different lifestyle than living in Beverly Hills.
I bet. So in that sense, we were talking about sustainability and corporate social responsibility. You are always, the time I have seen you in the different properties you have been, I see your social responsibility out there. You are always willing to hear about social projects and local projects. So how you mix that, let's say, the line of the property, the DNA of the property you were working with, and at the same time incorporate local activities and local foundations?
Right. Local is everything. You have to be warm and welcoming to everyone. And a resort is a key part of the community. I had a blank canvas actually at the Viceroy, and we brought in an art gallery with art classes and artist in residence programs. Sonia Falcone, who you know, I've worked very closely with her charity. And Vanessa Foncanaga, we've done things together.
She's very nice
at the Viceroy. Giving back, whether it's local artisans, Save the Turtle projects, keeping the Baja clean. That's a big thing for me, by the way. and I would look forward at the next stage of my journey to becoming more involved with that, actually. I spoke to Rodrigo, the Minister of Tourism, about that, and he said he's working on that. But I think that we should all take responsibility, and it's an education thing. And I find that, there's not enough bins on the highway where people can actually stop in a lay-by and put their trash into a bin. And I think that the hotels could actually sponsor a bin each. So outside the Montage example, they could sponsor them.
Yeah.
And we could have different artists, and we could paint the bins and also do some signage where keep the Baja beautiful. It's not fair to have people come and stay here and drive on the main highway.
Yes.
Or anywhere and see trash. I mean, it's a big thing, and it starts with education. It starts with the school children, and it also starts with older people pointing out to everyone that we all have a responsibility.
I agree, 100% with you.
Yeah, so that's that. If on my future agenda, if one of my main things would be, I would love to get involved with the committee to keep the Baja clean.
Well, that's very inspiring. Count on me if you.
Oh, good.
I mean,
Okay.
whatever I can.
We'll do it together.
Yes, whatever I can do to help. I'm on board. So the consumer preferences have changed along the years, right? I mean, but not only the consumer preferences, we have a new generation of consumers, but also we have a new generation of running hotels. I mean, the fact that now we come from passionate owners of very boutique, what we call boutique hotels nowadays, to these huge corporations that are in the stock market and they own, thousands of hotels around the world.
Right.
Some of those hotels are world-class hotels. I mean, don't get me wrong, they are first class. So how the business changed within the hotel industry and within the consumer part?
There's, as you said, there's so many beautiful small boutique hotels still that are for a certain kind of guest. So certain people will not choose to stay in a large hotel. They'll choose to go and pick out a boutique hotel that they specifically want, which is the old world style of service and the attention to detail. Other guests are looking for something else. But I think to be running a successful hotel in this day and age, you have to please everybody. And you've got to bring in
which puts the managing director in a very, very stressful position.
Well, yeah, but you share that, and you come up with brainstorming, and you ask what can we do for the children? What can we do for the teenagers? What can we do for people traveling on their own? What can we do for groups of ladies, groups of guys? What can we do for older guests? How can we make their stay? Some people want to just relax. Some people want to be out and about, doing many things in the Baja. It's having the concierge be well trained to pick the right things for the right people. Some people are going to come and read a book and not move from the hotel. Other people are going to be out every night until 2 o'clock in the morning, and that's up to them, and that's fine. So it's giving them what they want when they want it, and enjoying that. It's their time, it's their place, it's their space. And as we said before, it's the amount of time that you have when you're employed by someone. And if you make a mistake and you choose the wrong place and they're not really caring for you, then you're going to have a problem. So set up the resort for what you're marketing towards. And if you're marketing towards a specific client base, then make sure that you offer them what they're looking for.
So you have mentioned, you have given us a glimpse or how to manage a world-class resort, right? From ownership to teams to marketing. So can you talk a little bit about it?
Yes. In my 30s, I would have said that the most important thing to running a hotel is to take care of the guests and build repeat guests and have very high repeat guests coming into the hotel. But I'm going to start from a speech that I made a number of years ago where I was talking to about 500 of the top concierge in the world at the Hilton Hotel actually here. And I said, to run a world-class resort, there is 4 components and they all need to be in harmony. and it's like a ball in a big circle. One of them is that ownership need to be totally aligned with the corporate world. So if the corporate company need to be aligned with owners, it's very important. And then the general manager or managing director needs to be totally aligned with what they want and feel that everybody's aligned for the same goal.
I see.
Because if that doesn't happen, it's just never going to work.
What goal that would be? I mean, for every individual, it must be a different one, but in general.
Yeah, from the room rates that you decide to select. Are you going to be a 4-star hotel? Are you going to be a 5-star hotel? Are you looking for the family market? Are you looking for the singles market? Are you going to be all-inclusive? Are you going to not be all-inclusive? All these things that before the managing director takes the job, at least the directive given, he is then excited to come into the property with a goal and then take it forward. But if we're not aligned and the managing director comes in and all of a sudden he's coming to something totally opposite than what he thought he was going to come into, then it's going to be a problem. So just everybody's got to be in harmony. The next thing is to have a very close relationship. I know all the hotels have directors of sales and marketing and marketing teams and PR and social media and all these different companies and people working for the resort. But using the past contacts that you've had as a manager over the years and the support you've been given and the respect in the industry goes a long way. Keeping yourself active and going to a couple of different shows every year so you're meeting new people, connections, because there's a trust. And when you're sending the top clients of these mega travel agencies, they need to feel that they're coming into a hotel that they have someone that they can connect with. And then keep yourself aware of the future of what's going on in the travel industry. So OTAs or social media or bloggers or many things. Because, there's words we would use now that we would never use 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Exactly.
And the world's changing. So keep yourself current with marketing trends. And then the staff, it's key to have a staff that are stable. People spend a lot of money on training, on interviewing, on really bringing people into the family. And so what you don't want is to have a high staff turnover. So connection with owners and the corporate office, very key to the success of any property. The staff being happy and staying with you and low turnover.
And committed with the
property. Yeah. The travel industry supporting you and really following you through and sticking by you and supporting you with sending the clients and seeing the success move forward.
So it comes to my mind here. I mean, I'm sorry I'm jumping into the conversation, but it comes to my mind here. I mean, you having the name you have in the industry. I mean, if I were a travel agency, one of these big ones, just by the name of you as a managing director, I will send my people there without hesitation. So, I mean, and that puts a lot of stress on you, I mean, because you have to have all of these three hearts, I will call them, the ownership, the ownership and management, the team, and the marketing align before the first guests arrive.
Never say something you don't mean. I've lived by that for a long time. If you say something you don't mean, or you pretend that it's going to happen, you're going to be found out. And I turned the clock back. We opened on July the 23rd after 5 months of closing with virus. And I called Bob, who owns Cabo Living magazine, who had given me an amazing feature at Capella, 6 pages in the front cover at One and Only. And when I joined Viceroy, I said, look, Bob, I want to do the front cover with you, and I want to have 6 pages of editorial. And I will only do it if I feel we're ready. And so I'd watched the team, and we'd retrained, and we brought in these new ideas, and we were working to a new mission. And when we opened on July the 23rd, we used it as a new beginning. That's what we called it, a new beginning. 2 weeks before the new beginning, Bob came down and interviewed me with my management team, the chef, all the management team and everything. And he wrote this amazing 6-page article.
Article.
And I read it the other day, and I read it word for word, and every single word in the article is what we managed to achieve over the last 3 years. And everything I said was true. And on my own, I couldn't do it. You know, I said it before, I can steer the ship. I am the most, I'm the least worthy person in the hotel if people didn't support me.
Yeah.
I would be, why am I there? Alone.
Yeah.
So if I have the support and the respect and the trust, and people do it together with me and with the whole team, you can create the magic. And that's when I said, never say things you don't mean, because if we'd have done the 6-page article and everything had been a lie, it was not right. You know, it wasn't true. What, you're not doing these things. But I felt, wow, I'm so glad that we got the 6 pages in the front cover. And I had lunch with Bob actually about 3 weeks ago, and he mentioned that, and I said, Bob, I want to thank you for your support that you've given me over the last 15 years. But I haven't let you down, because I said I wouldn't have asked for the interview if I... And anyway, he laughed about that. But it's do it with a team, do it with passion, do it with commitment, and the little things can create the magic. And the little things are what make a resort very special.
So that basically joins me into my next, almost final question. You know, I have been associated to my company, you know, to my interior design and architectural company for the last 10 years. And I don't imagine moving to another company. Actually, I got an offer about going to the US to manage one of these huge interior design departments within one company that is actually focusing on building the next huge stadiums for the World Cup. You know?
Right. Yes.
So
yes.
I was offered to manage the interior design team. And that was very flattering and everything, but I just don't imagine at this point moving on. However, in your industry is different. You know, you have a start day, and in some point you will move on.
Yes.
To another property, to another amazing property. In your case, how's your first day? I mean, with all these, you know, expectations and hopes and wishes. I mean, I'm getting very romantic here, I know, but how's that first day for Peter when he arrives to a property?
When I drove down Pedregal Mountain in 2009, nobody knew that morning that I was going to take the MD position for One and Only. It was the most kept secret in the community. I don't know how we did it, but we did it. And I left and I went to Barbados for 3 weeks, and I came back on the Sunday evening, went to our house in Pedregal, and drove down at 8:30 in the morning to One and Only. That morning, both PR companies issued the press release that I was going to Pommier. I'd stayed away from Pommier, so I hadn't even been into the hotel. I didn't even go into the hotel for the interview. And yeah, and after 5 years at Capella, it was a big thing. I walked in and they said, we're going to do 2 meetings, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and there's 450 people in the ballroom waiting for you now to go and say hello to them.
Oh my God, I can't imagine.
And I walked into the room and I had a translator with me, and I looked at everybody and these 450 people. And I said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you. You don't know me, but I want to thank you for doing such an amazing job to bring this hotel to this stage of the journey that you're at now. I said, I want to thank Mr. Steiner for calling me to allow me to have his position. And I can honestly say that if you were not running a world-class hotel now, I wouldn't be here. I said, I want you all to stand up, and I want you to applaud yourselves. And all these people stood up, and it was amazing, the energy. And I was clapping and they were clapping, and they sat down.
Wow.
It was fantastic. And they sat down and I said, look, without all your support, I am worthless. I can steer the ship, but only with your support. I said, I can promise you that this hotel now is a wonderful place, but with your support and your respect and what we can create together will be amazing. And that hotel we took to a different journey. And
yes, I know.
And so that was one of my opening days. But every opening day really is just feeling blessed that you're being given an opportunity to follow the next stage of your journey in a new chapter in the book. Because my whole life has been about chapters of working from when I started to go to hotel school to then the journey. And each of those chapters have had a meaning by allowing me to meet so many wonderful people. From the business perspective, from the guest perspective, from the staff perspective, from the local community perspective.
Of course, yeah.
And not just going into a location for 1 year, 2 years, but going in, I've gone back several times. So Barbados was twice, 9 years. Jumbie Bay was twice, 9 years. Cabo was, 15 years. The Caribbean was 21 years. It's not as though I've had a long career, but I've really kind of put roots down in each of the destinations.
You do. You are. I mean, when we just started the podcast, I was telling you, you are a local. You're not only a local icon, but you are like. I mean, I have you in my radar. We have seen each other in so many events. I mean, you are part of the community, and that's something that I love about you. You are not only seen at the property you manage, but you are seen within the local community. So, yes. And that's something very, very special about you.
Thank you.
So how's the last day?
The last day, I'm going to say something I told you today, of course, but I've left Viceroy Los Cabos.
Just recently?
Just recently, on July the 14th, which was last Friday, 9 days ago. It was time, and I achieved my goals. I would not have changed anything over the past 3.5 years because the people I met, from the staff to the guests and the homeowners and everyone, it's been a great journey.
And it's such a beautiful architectural piece,
yes,
as well.
Yeah, and I'm so blessed that I had the opportunity to go and do what I did with the team there. My last day with them was very touching because I've had several parties, by the way, over the last couple of weeks, and I'm going out on Wednesday night with the last group of people. And we went out with 14 people to Nobu last Friday evening, nice. and different things that have just carried on extending my departure.
As you should.
Exactly. But it's time. And you asked me when I came in, you said to me, Peter, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
What's next for you?
I know. Well,
because the people that know you and the people that are in the industry, we are all wondering the same.
Right. So I'm going to be honest with you. I'm taking a little breather away from here. I'm going to go to my house in Barbados for about 3 weeks. I've used the house for 4 weeks in 20 years. And I'm going to just go and touch it and feel it and see it and enjoy it. Yeah. And then I'm going back to the US on the Chesapeake Bay, and I'm going to go into my kayak and I'm going to float around a little bit and nice. Play my baby grand piano because I play the keyboards. And I'm a very active, passionate person who will get bored very quickly. But I want to play the piano because my fingers are getting a little bit rusty. And I just want to enjoy the moment and take some time to have a little peace.
For you and your wife?
Yes, for Kathy and I. And just think, what is the next stage of the journey? And the chapter has to make sense to make me realize how blessed I have been to this date and to put everything together to allow me to look back and think, now is the time, and I'm excited again. I said to you when I came in, I said I have to have the peace of mind. I have to feel valued and respected, and I have to surround myself with people that give me joy. If I have those three things, the world is wherever we can take it. And so I don't know. I've got a couple of things in the pipeline that people have called me.
I bet. I was going that way right now.
But I want the peace of mind. So for me, it's really about quality, not the quantity, and it's about more being valued and respected and allow me to use my talents to the next stage.
Well, you have run big properties. You have run small properties.
Yes.
All of them magnificent properties. It seems like you want to take like attention to detail to a highest level just by hearing what you're saying.
Yeah, let's just see. Let's just follow the journey, and I can promise you, I will be texting you. I'll be texting you straight away and let you know what's going on. But in the meantime, just having that little period where I can breathe. We're going to come back here in November to our house here and enjoy the moment. And this is our home, nice. So we feel at home here. So I look forward to the next stage of the journey and hopefully staying at home.
Well, you seem like someone that has it figured out already. So I'm glad for you, and I wish you the best for the next step.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Peter, thank you for having in the podcast, for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom. I mean, it has been like such an amazing experience to do this podcast with you. Thank you for your openness.
Thank you so much.
You are a friend of this podcast.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Bye.